Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So I'm just here today with a quick little video to show you what I got at the Howard Ironworks Printing Museum today for their 2024 Print Expo and Fair. If you've been around for a while, you will have seen me in the past. I've gone here, and my daughter made the cover of the of the Print Expo guide this year, which is really funny. So yeah, she had a great time last year. This year she couldn't go because she's actually feeling a little under the weather today, because my son picked something up and shared it with her, so she's having a little rest day, but she's okay. So that being said, let me hop in and show you what I got, because there's goodies. There's very much goodies, and I got something today that like I've wanted to get for a few years, but I didn't splurge until today. So this I got. This is that splurge item, this Schmed brush. It is beautiful. So what do you use this for? Well, several things in bookbinding. Number one, you can use it to, you know, get rid of all the bits of the vintage dust from the books, etc. But the nice thing about it is actually just the shaping of this. It's nice and flat, so when you're putting down glue in your binding of your book, you go in these circles. This is the technique you're supposed to use to put glue down very flat, and that's its specialty. Essentially, it's a specialized brush for doing that, and I wanted one of them for a long time, so I splurged on that today. Now I'll tell you where I got these things from, because there aren't like a ton of different vendors. There's just like maybe a little over a dozen maybe. So this one was from George Hill & Co. GeorgeHillCo.com in Milton, Ontario, and there's the brush right there. So this business has been around since 2013, and they sell bookbinding materials and supplies, and it's a really cool place to get things. So that's that. Then next, I got a bunch of marbled paper and handmade papers. Now I'll show you these. You'll probably recognize them if you've been here for a bit, because I always buy from essentially the same three vendors. I go to the vendors who sell supplies. Like there's a lot of vendors there who sell like journals, like bound books, lots of that kind of thing. I went to the Cabbage booth today, which is the Canadian Bookbinding Association. They do workshops. There's a lot of people who do workshops and bookbinding and all that kind of stuff. But this is from the Paper Trail, and they're at papertrail.ca, and they're in New Dundee, Ontario. So they sell all sorts of paper and materials to make marbled paper, bookbinding materials, letterpress stuff, all sorts of stuff. They also do workshops, which I'm thinking about finding a couple of friends to see maybe if they'd want to do a workshop in marbling one day, just to maybe, like, I've done marbling. It's not that I don't know how to do it. I could certainly use a reminder. But it would just be nice, I think, to have like a day where you do nothing other than work in someone else's studio on marbling paper. That would be a lot of fun. So, okay, so this was the first piece that I got. Now this is done on like a piece of like kind of cardstock. It was a fun experiment, and I believe that there's like this couple that run the Paper Trail, and then their daughter, who I believe I met today for the first time, who also does paper from time to time. So these are the marbled papers I got. I loved the fine squiggling on that one. I love this one. And this one, I always love these swirlies, and then lots of back and forth on that one. And this one. And they just have all of these bits and bobs. Now, normally when I go to this sale, they bring up all their cutoffs from when they've done workshops, and they didn't have any today. I was so sad, but they said, oh, we generate those when we have like, workshops, right, for all of our demoing paper. And I was like, okay. So I talked to them about maybe saving them for me. So then I got some of their beautiful, these have the texture of like, almost like a handmade construction paper. They're really rough and fun. Some of them are very cool. Like, see, this back side is pink and this side is green. These are really great papers for just sticking into a pocket as a piece of ephemera, to be honest. And then I got some nice big ones too. These ones have newspaper bits in them. These have glitter. They do children's workshops too, so then they get a lot of glitter pulp left over and they make these fun pages with them. I always pick up a few because they can be really fun in certain kinds of journals. And I like these shades of red with like gray bits, green with a bit of that glitter. It's not too much glitter, and there's also seeds and things. There was a few different greens that I liked, so I grabbed a few different greens. They always kind of attract my attention. Oh, that one says green on the back. That's fun. And then a couple of these nice deep green ones. So that is what I got for that size of paper. Then I got one piece of large paper, which is in this tube. I didn't go cuckoo bananas this year. Like, I wanted to go in order to just, like, I had originally planned to take the kids and they could enjoy the whole experience at the museum, but because the kids were, my son was sick. He's not sick now, but now my daughter is sick. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I wanted to take them, you know, to see the machines and do some printing and thing, but they couldn't. So I just kind of hustled in, went to the vendors and left because I've seen all the other stuff. Now the third purchase that I made is from one second. I gotta pick the right vendor here. Let me see. The Japanese Paper Place, which is in Toronto. JapanesePaperPlace.com. Okay. So these are Japanese papers and they're beautiful. So lots of gold in that one. And I usually just grab like a few. These are gold background. Just grab a few because they're just so beautiful. Yeah. And then I also got some new bookbinding sewing needles, also from the Paper Trail, which was the last vendor I showed you. I forgot to mention those. These 3 nice big paper, you know, stitching needles. I really, they're very heavy duty. You know, they're not your typical sewing needle. They're a little longer, nicer. You know, I use mainly darning kind of needles. I typically use when I'm doing, you know, this is what I'm using now, and that's going to give me a little more strength, which is great. So I'll actually take one of them out and put it right into my little pin cushion. I'll show you if you've never seen. I keep all my needles here in my little handmade gnome house pin cushion that I made. I used to teach workshops in making these lovely little gnome house pin cushions. This one is from 2020 that I made this one, and it's been hanging around on my desk and doing its job for a while now. So the others I will put in I have like a bookbinding stationery kind of drawer in my cabinet over there. Then I also grabbed from the same place some Japanese glue. This is nice glue. I've only used it a couple of times. Yamato. These are the same thing. One is just big and one is little, sort of like a little travel one and a bigger one. And they're great for collage and for, you know, just generally gluing, sticking. It's sticking paste, and it's really nice, especially with the Japanese paper. So that is all I got. I didn't get a ton of stuff this time. I was actually pretty good about my my purchases. I kind of just focus mainly on tools and paper. That being said, though, let me just show you a little bit from here, the different kinds of things that you can expect when you go there. So like they have, you know, printing presses in operation by all the amazing like volunteers that are there doing demos. They also have a nice little bakery that sells things that the proceeds from the little pop-up bakery, the proceeds support Lighthouse for Grieving Children and Families. They do that every year. They sell these little mini cookies and all sorts of different pastries and other snacks, and it all goes to that wonderful charity for grieving families. So the other vendors that were there was the Eliquando Press from Dundas, Ontario, and they do lots of beautiful letterpress printed books. So if you are a book collector and you like to get like special editions, there's a few different book binders that do this here. So I think often they take stories that might be in the public domain or classics, like, and they bind them into these beautiful books of their own making, right? Like they design their own covers. They do all sorts of really nice, like, customized things. Like I saw this one, it was an Edgar Allan Poe story collection, and it was in a wooden box, and the cover was made from a veneer, and it came out of the wooden box, but the wooden box was like almost like it had a sliding lid with a nice Edgar Allan Poe burned in stamp on the front. So like if you're a collector, you know, here he shows William Morris in the image that he chose to you know, share for this, but I mean, they've been around since 1962, and they have, you know, work in libraries across Canada, US, Japan, and Europe. So a really interesting, cool company. There was also Backyard Paper Co. of Canada, Ontario. So this is run by a couple of people who call themselves cheerful humans, and they do letterpress and silkscreen greeting cards. And this is sort of what they look like. And I did see some really happy, sweet, cute illustrations today there. Beverly Allen of Burlington, Ontario, beverlyallenartist.com. This is a multimedia artist doing printing on and textiles. You can see, right, the textile style that she has. She also did the jelly printing workshop that they offered at this festival. And then there's Big River Bindery of Scarborough, Ontario. Now, I did stop there and chat with the young lady who was working there. She spoke about Andrew, who I guess owns this bindery. They do workshops as well in Scarborough, so it's bigriverbindery.com, and he does a lot of cool books. So I saw this one myself, which is one of these kind of accordions where you cut out all the text on a page and you just leave the images behind, and it layers itself. There are some really cool like accordion folded pages where it was a black and white image. The one that I liked, it was all black and white landscape images, and what they did was like sort of like mono printing. They colored in green anything that would be green on the page, but that's all they did. I'm going to play with that myself a little bit. It inspired me. So he did a class today in pressure printing and tuxedo box. So I think he was doing that when I was visiting. And I mentioned before the Cabbage Guild, Canadian Bookbinders and Book Artists Guild. So that's cbbag.ca. So they, you know, if you're interested in becoming a bookbinder or doing something in the, you know, handmade book industry, you can go to them. They'll give you resources. They're super nice. Every time I've stopped there, they've been really nice. And then 88 Tentacle Press from Toronto is Kathleen Parle, the artist. She's a small letterpress printer. I saw her stuff. It was very nice. There's expressart.com, ex-pressart.com, hand-carved block lino block relief prints on handmade paper. Then I talked about George Hill & Co., the people who sell the brush and the other things for bookbinding. And then there's George Walker Books and Art. Toronto, george-walker.com. That is another press company. I didn't talk to them today, but yeah, I've seen them before. Grace Notes Press of Burlington, Ontario is gracenotepress.ca. So she makes her name is Beth, and she makes lots of little different kinds of books and journals, and did a bookbinding class on long stitch at the festival. And then inkpedals.com is Ink Pedals Press. They are a stationery boutique, and they also do printing, and they have a shop in a historical district of Woodbridge, Ontario, and they sell paper goods and gift type stuff. Who else? It's nice to kind of go through these people. So Caitlin Hollander Art, this is an Oakville artist, and she does a lot of printmaking and collage. I remember seeing her work not just today, but in past years. She has a super charming personality. She really kind of draws you in. And then there's kissthepaper.ca. I did not stop there today, but I did see that they had beautiful like cards and things like that. There's the MackenziePrintery.org of Queenston, Ontario. They're a non-profit that partner with Niagara Parks to provide equipment, training, and support for the Mackenzie Printery and Newspaper Museum. And then this is the paper trail. I told you about them. That was all my handmade marbled papers. There was Pat McIlroy of Niagara Falls. Now, is this the one? I think it might be. Give me 1 second. I don't know if it was. So it could either be Raven Press of Guelph, Ontario, or Pat McIlroy of Niagara Falls, Ontario. Both of them are doing like lino printing, printmaking, and lithograph type printing and etching. And I don't know which of these two it was, but I did stop by their table and take a look at their work and saw some beautiful work. I'm sure they both had beautiful work, but one had their granddaughter working there, and she's like, "This is my grandfather's artwork." I was like, "Wow!" It was really nice to see. And Pomegranate Letterpress and Design of Oakville, Ontario. They do, they love typography, letterpress, and other things like that. They did a letterpress workshop, and I did see a lot of these beautifully bound, like Coptic stitch, fancy stitch kind of books. West Meadow Press of Clifford, Ontario is wesleybates.com. And this is, I guess, one of Canada's most celebrated wood engraving artists. So, you know what? I wonder if it may have been him, to be honest. And his granddaughter was working there. I don't know. I should have paid more attention. It was a bit of a whirlwind in there, and I just wanted to kind of get in, get my stuff, and get out. But anyways, I've given you all sorts of people to check out. Oh, and Wesley Bates, it might have been him, because I remember I was going to try to attend this workshop today with my daughter, but I couldn't. Behind the Press with Wesley Bates. So they did a demo showing the intricate process of printing a wood engraving portrait of Pete Seeger in this case. So they went through, showing all of the color layering and all that kind of stuff. So just a really, really cool type stuff. This guy, don't know his name, but last year he was amazing with my daughter. Like they were doing these little lead cartridge hand, made stamps that like they would bang this machine to bang out like the lead letters for the stamping. So they are made of lead, so you obviously have to be careful with them, especially with children. But what he was using them for is he would create like your name, and he would put it on this like old vintage certificate, and then he would give you the lead plate to take home. So I did take them home. He would put them all in plastic bags and basically give you the the business about not letting kids put them in their mouths, obviously. So I've stored those away somewhere. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and if you did stop by and you got the flyer, you will see my little one here on the front, because she made her own elephant printing that day, and I don't know if that was 1 or 2 years ago, because we've gone for the last, I guess, 4 years and really enjoyed it each time. But yeah, it's a really, really fun place to go for the day on a Saturday. It's usually usually the last the last Saturday in September, and it's usually kind of a cool weekend, which is just like this weekend's very cool, a little bit rainy, and I love it. So that's all for today. I hope you have a good day, and I will talk to everyone soon. Bye for now.